to bring some grumpiness to your internet. And welcome back to Redneck Radio, the live stream, where today you get an extra healthy side helping of hush puppies because I had some earlier today and they were wondermous. And for my non-American friends out there that don't know what a hush puppy is, it's deep fried cornbread balls. They're very delicious, very delicious. As you've probably noticed already, Alex isn't with us today. The poor boy was just plumb tuckered out from his day at work. But he did say to pass along the message to you that he had a good day, first day at work, and that he's officially an employee now, and he has his induction tomorrow morning for 4 to 5 hours. So yeah, he is now among the gainfully employed. So congrats, Alex, if you hear that. But I figure it's not a terrible thing that I at least start this stream by myself today. As you guys know, it's only been a week, but dadgum, it feels like a lot longer than that. A lot longer than that, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but it is the elephant in the room, so I guess I have to address it. But I don't want this live stream to be a big downer because I don't feel like a downer today. I'm actually in pretty good mood. Deck Train Monkey gets a link every time I go live. It's up to him whether he feels like he's able to come in or not. So just so you know, that's the way it is. That's our arrangement, he and I. As y'all know, I had a death in the family. My son-in-law, who was 27, passed away. It was kind of sudden, more than kind of sudden, but my daughter survives him, and my 4 granddaughters, very young granddaughters. I believe their ages, and please don't crucify me if I get this wrong. 11, 9, 4, and 1. But yeah, it's been a rough time. It's been a rough time, but I took a week, not so much for myself, but for my family, so that I didn't have any strings attached. So that I was available 24/7 for my family to be there, and I was able to do that last week. But they're all doing really good, actually better than can be expected. The wake for him will be this weekend. Mama Minnie, as many of you know from the chat, my other daughter, will actually be down from Michigan for a couple of days, so I'll get to see her and hers. But yeah, they're doing much better actually than I expected at this point, and life goes on. Such as life comes at you fast sometimes, and you just have to deal with it. I always say that I'm not a optimist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist, and yeah, um, I like to face life the way that it is. Deck Train J Kid babysitting, yes, he's babysitting again. He's probably taking it harder than anybody at the moment because uh, it was his best friend. My son-in-law and J Kids were best friends, so yeah, it's been pretty tough for him. But he's getting back in it. Hey, Corey, long time no see, and thank you, Cryptic. Welcome back, old man. You old coot. Yeah. It's good to be back. I had a lot of people when I talked about coming back, uh, um, said, take all the time, no need to hurry and everything. It's time. I miss it, and I'm ready to come back, and yeah, to get to talk to y'all. So yeah, and thank you for everybody's well wishes and the condolences and everything. But like I said, life comes at you fast. Sometimes you just deal with it, and we're all doing good. We're survivors. It's my granddaughters. I spent a lot of time over there, more than usual last week, and my granddaughters would talk to me and confide in me. Especially the 9-year old would follow me out when I would go outside to smoke, to talk to me in private, just her and I, and she said it's it's hard not having daddy not coming home. And I told them all, look, you're related to me. We're survivors. We're tough. You can do this, and I know that you will. Yes, it's going to be hard, but you'll get through it. We'll all get through it together. So yeah, thanks everybody for your condolences, your well wishes, your thoughts, your prayers, all of those things. We certainly appreciate it. Absolutely do. But it's time for me to get back on that horse. My life just seemed really empty without it. And thank you, Owen Harmon, for the donation. Um, and for some reason, my chat hasn't kept out or kept up over here. So guess I can't get that on the screen. But oh, there it is. It finally popped up. Just took a minute. Thank you, Owen Harmon, for the donation. Welcome back, old man. We've all been praying for you over here. Well, I do appreciate that. I really do. Um, and hey, Pat, what's going on? Hope you're having a good day. Um, yeah, and I do appreciate the prayers. And this is all I'll say about this, because I don't make it a big deal. It's not what my presence is about. It's just my own personal beliefs. I am a Christian, so I do appreciate your prayers, and I believe that they work and they help. So, yeah, if I'll take all them prayers you want to throw at me. But if that's not your thing, good thoughts or positive thoughts or whatever you do, I'll take it. I'll take them. But yeah, I'm glad to be back. It's been a rough time, but we're all moving on with it. The daughter is back to work. The grandkids are back to school, and we're doing the best we can. And oh my gosh, Angry Illinoisan, thank you so much. Very generous super chat there. Listening to Redneck Radio while busting up some rocks in 7 days. Does life get any better? I've been playing a lot of 7 Days to Die lately. Actually, oh, and thank you, Duck Dog, as well for the donation. It's always good to get back on that horse. Yep, I believe that. Uh, you know, I'm not a person that normally. There's been times, but normally I'm not a person that needs a lot of time to get my head back together, because I come to the conclusion a long time ago that just life just comes at you hard sometimes, and how you deal with it says a lot about you. And I've always met it face on. That's just me. That's the way that I am. I know some of you might be different, and many of you might be different, but that's the way that I do it. And I tend to do my grieving in private, away from the public face. So, um, excuse me. So yeah, we're going to attempt to do this on our own, at least for the moment. And the only time that it's probably going to be an issue is not if, but when I have to go to the bathroom. So we'll just deal with that when it comes up. We might just have a few moments of silence where you can talk among yourselves, or we'll come up with something. We'll come up with something. But yeah, I sure missed being here. I haven't been completely idle. Alex, like I said, Alex and I have been gaming together, playing 7 Days to Die, as a matter of fact. Let's see. Well, first, Clinton Whitaker lost my brother a year ago, and that is all you can do is keep moving on. That's what I think they would want us to do anyway. Exactly. Exactly. I probably grieved the hardest over any death that I've grieved over when my mother died about 4 years ago. And I just finally got to the point where I know that mom wouldn't want me to just give up on life. Of course, she's who I get my personality from. So she was a tough old lady. Thank you, Cryptic, for the donation. Life sucks less with good family and friends. It does. Exactly, Cryptic. It does. And yes, Alex, I did see your post there. Can't have headphones on. Well, if your head wasn't so daggum big head, you wouldn't have that problem. I'm just teasing. He's having some problem with his ears today, folks. Besides being really tired. But yeah, he and I have been playing some 7 Days to Die. And before you ask, no, you can't join our game. We're being elitist. It's just for him and I. And to be honest with you, you probably wouldn't want to play with me in your 7 Days to Die game because my frame rates drop to 0 during a horde or if there's a bunch of zombies in the house. So I'm not much good in a very big fight because my game freezes pretty much. So Alex has had to watch my back a lot, but I've made up for it. But I do all the crafting and all that stuff. It's a democracy, but it's just a game for he and I just to talk and hang out, and really basically just an overglorified hangout is what it is. Feels like someone stomped on both sides of my head. Did you get curb stomped while you were out, Alex? He's quite frustrating to play with, to be honest. I try to warn him and he doesn't move. That's because I'm frozen, you goof. I keep telling you that. You want to talk about frustrating? Mr. Impatient. Just teasing you, bud. Teasing you. Hey, you knew what you were getting into when you played with an slow old man that can't see worth a crap. Can't see. He's always getting on to me about how I can't see the things that are in the inventory. Can't see the things that are on the screen. I can't see. Keep telling you guys, I'm old and I can't see, and I can't hear, and my computer is a freaking potato. So you add all them up, then yeah, I'm not much use in a fight. I get a few licks here and there when I can actually move. So that's not exactly true, Alex. Close, but not exactly true. We have an understanding. It actually is a democracy. He's doing all the base building. I'm doing all the weapons and tools building. And making medical supplies and things like that. And yeah, and my bladder's the size of a blueberry. Exactly, Prospero. And yeah, in a game like 7 Days to Die, it's not exactly easy to go to the bathroom. I have to make it back to base and get safe before I can do that. But yeah, it's been a fun way for us to stay in contact. Shh, opinionated Scotsman, just let it happen. He says Bear does all the work. Bloodwing stands and watches. Sometimes that's true. I kind of stand. We've got a base built on the roof of a building, and I stand back and I watch him build the horde base, because I'm a believer that your horde base and your regular base needs to be two different things, because making it both the same thing is a good way to get your forge and crafting table and all that stuff destroyed during the Horde night. So yeah. Exactly. How else am I going to get that cotton, Alex? How am I going to get the cotton if you don't pick it? I ain't picking it. When I got a POC in the game with me that's just perfectly capable of picking that cotton. Boy, this stream just got demonetized. Not that it wasn't going to anyway. Angry Illinois says, so what's the difference between that and mostly what Satsu does in all the games he and Monkey play? I know exactly. I used to play with it. Some of you may not know, but I actually used to play with Monkey and Satsu on their stream all the time on both Ark and 7 Days to Die. But then my schedule changed and I'm not able to stay up that late. I'm glad you found that humorous, Pat. Pat's known me probably longer than anybody, even longer than Monkey and Alex. And he knows my humor. Yeah, it's just, it would have to be on Alex's channel because I have to have my graphics turned down way low to even play. So it wouldn't be very pretty to look at. And during Horde nights, I just, I'm pretty much useless. It can't move, you know. I had Alex make these things called wood bars, which neither of us even knew was in there. I just discovered them in the crafting menu and put them up, and it was a good thing because it saved me, because there was a bird right in front of my face, one of them stupid vultures, and I couldn't move. He said, "There's a vulture, there's a vulture," and I'm like, "Okay, but I can't move. I'm stuck." Alex says I can demonetize stream without being on it. I'm perfectly capable of demonetizing streams all by my lonesome. Thank you. If I really get going, I used to make, in fact, when, like I said, I used to be on their gaming streams all the time, and I used to make Satsu nervous because once I get going, you know, in a casual setting, like playing a game, you don't know what I might say. And Satsu's like, you know, I really want to monetize this channel if you could just shut up. So, yeah. But no, I don't play with them anymore because my schedule's changed. I have to get up at the butt crack of dawn. Actually, we're in the time of the year that by the time I hit the road, it's still dark to go pick up my granddaughters for school, and you can't be staying up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning when you do that. Not if you want to be safe when you're on the road. And my route to pick up the grandkids is a very, very busy street. So, yeah, got to be on your toes. But yeah, that's with me. I hope everybody hope everybody had has had a good week while I was away. Speaking of being away, I do hope, I'm not promising to have an episode of Redneck Trek out this weekend. I hope to. I plan to, but I don't know how things are going to turn out with the wake being this weekend and so forth. But if not, for sure by the following weekend, for sure. So yeah, that'll be coming out as well. Clinton Whitaker, let the grandkids play for you, man. Yeah, I know it's not so much me, really. I play pretty good video games for a guy that'll be 60 years old in March. Okay, I play pretty good video games. It's my rig. It's just a potato, and even on very low settings, my frame rates drop to 0. You know, if there's very many zombies around. Not just Horde nights. We busted yesterday when we were playing. We busted into a house to clear it out, and there were so many zombies in this thing. We were both, you know, it was just unreal how many were in that house, and I could tell before we even seen or heard them because I froze. My computer just froze. You know, maybe show a frame about every 3 to 4 seconds. So that's literally how bad it gets for me. And Alex is hollering, and oh, there's a bunch of them, and I hear a bunch of boom, 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 but I can't move. So yeah, it makes for interesting play. Yeah, it makes for interesting play. So I'm probably not somebody you want on your own servers or in your own game. Not until I get the computer situations sorted out, which is going to be a long while down the road. However, that does bring me to something. With the recent GoFundMe, I had enough left over with everybody that I was able to order a new refrigerator, which will be delivered tomorrow. Yay! Folks, I haven't had a working refrigerator for 8 months. The refrigerator that I have, the freezer totally does not work. The bottom part barely works. It's just cool. It's not cold. It's just cool so that you can put a few things in there, but you sure don't want to be putting lunch meat in there or milk because it ain't or anything like that. It's not going to keep. For 8 months, we've lived out of canned foods and stuff, things that won't spoil. So I'm not going to know how to act. And honestly, between me, you, and the fence post, this will be the very first brand new refrigerator I've ever owned in my life. We've always bought used refrigerators. So it's nothing fancy. It's the cheapest one they had at the place. It doesn't even have an ice maker or anything like that. It's just a straight up refrigerator. But I tell you what, for me, it might as well be made of gold. And I'm looking forward to it very much. And they're even going to haul my old one away for an extra $20. So yeah. And I'm going to get the 3-year warranty on it. And that's all I need, Opinionated Scotsman, is just something that does the job. And, yeah, I was raised on ice cube trays. Shoot, when I was a kid, they didn't even have plastic ice cube trays. They were them old metal ones. So yeah, it's, I'm looking forward to it. And that's all according to y'all. You helped that happen. And the wife is certainly happy about it. And it'll be here tomorrow. You know how these things go. They don't give you a set time. It'll be sometime between 1 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So, yeah. Mate is probably why both of my ears are ringing right now. What did I miss? What an because he was screaming. I'm not saying that Alex screams a lot while he plays, but he does. I'm always scaring him without meaning to. He'll turn around and I'll be right there on him. He's like, oh, it's you. He's actually hit me a couple of times. Good thing we have friendly fire turned off, because he's actually he's hit me a few times. And there was one time we've got a pretty good size heat map going on with the forge and torches and everything going on. And so we've been drawing the screamers and getting, kind of mini hordes coming up because of the screamers. And, and yesterday there was one point where and my wife had just looked at the screen. We had just finished one up, but there was one left. We didn't know it was there. Alex turns around. There's a zombie right in his face. And he just screams really loud. And at this time, I actually wasn't froze up, but I couldn't move because I was laughing too hard. Oh, and I got to tell this. Alex, I told you I was going to tell this. All right. So, anybody that plays 7 Days to Die knows. Yep, that's what I'm going to tell them. Anybody that plays 7 Days to Die knows that you find crates that you've got to bust open and see what's in them. And sometimes it can be really something good, like a box from Shotgun Messiah that's going to at least have ammunition and or weapons in it. Or it could be something stupid like a freaking toilet. You never know. It's kind of like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. So we're in the basement of this big house that we worked our way through. It was just full of zombies. And we're both hacking on this crate to bust it open, right, with our axes, both of us together. Well, a lag spike hit right at the second that it opened, so we couldn't stop the next swing, and we both hit it. And it was a gas barrel. Yep, we blew up. It outright killed Alex. It blew a huge hole in the basement of this house. I didn't die somehow. I don't know, but I ended up at the bottom of a huge hole. Yes, we were really boomers. And I laughed so hard and so long I couldn't stop. For the rest of the night, and we played for hours. For the rest of the night, I could not stop laughing. We'd be playing, and I just start laughing again. I just start busting out laughing. It was one of them moments, like for just that split second, we seen it was a barrel, like, oh my God, but we couldn't stop. It was just boom. And that sucker blew the heck up, which is a shame because we needed the fuel. It would have been nice to have that fuel because we've got like 3 chainsaws, that we need it for. But I will say I like the bicycles. I've built Alex and I both bicycles, although mine keeps getting tore up. I tore his up too because we accidentally jumped on the wrong bicycles. I jumped on his and he jumped on mine. And if you know anything about it, you can't pick up one that's not yours. And I got it stuck in a ditch in just a little ridge next to the a curb, and couldn't get it out. So I had to grind it out and just damage it the whole time that this thing is moving. It's moving at a snail's pace. He's all the way back at her base, like, I'm coming. I'm like, well, I'm trying to get it out. So yeah, I kind of hurt his a little bit, but yeah, and I have a single player game going. And I hope this doesn't happen in Alex and I's game. I got an hour till sundown. I'm rushing to get home to my base, riding hell-bent to leather on my bicycle across the desert, trying to dodge all the cactuses and the rocks and stuff. And the game crashes. I'm like, crap. Okay, well, then log back in. Yeah, I logged back in and my bicycle is gone. Nowhere to be found. And everything that was in the inventory of the bicycle is now in my inventory, and I'm over encumbered and can't move. And it now turns 2200, which for those of you that play knows that's when the runners come out. Sun goes down and the runners come out. Alex, I don't think you could have done this. There was no way I was running home. No freaking way over encumbered like that. And I didn't know what else to do. So I just crouched down in the middle of the desert in the dark, turned off my helmet light, and spent the entire night in the desert listening to zombies run around me, hoping they didn't see me. I did have to kill about 4 of them that got a little too close with my crossbow, so it was quiet. But yeah, even I was a little creeped out, just sitting there waiting for the sun to come up and them to quit running. It was not a fun time. So what I did when morning came, since the game stole my bicycle, I thought it was only fair that I spawned a bicycle into the game. So yes, I cheated a little bit to get home, but it took my bicycle, so it deserved to give me one back. I won't normally do something like that. I like to, cheat. But that was an instance where the game cheated me, so I took it back. The only real downfalls, I had a really good wrench in the inventory of the bicycle that I did not get back. So lost that along with the bicycle. But yeah, but we've been having fun. I've been having fun playing 7 Days to Die. I still got to get that screenshot for you of my horde base, Alex, and I will get that later. Today's been uh, 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 just a really busy day. Brenda Fire said, two wrongs don't make a right. Hey, it's my game and I can cheat if I want to. No, actually, I didn't spawn a bicycle. I spawned the parts for it because I can build a bicycle of a greater value than what it was going to spawn for me. And when I had to spawn in the mechanical parts, the only option I had was to spawn in 1,000 of them. I used what I needed and threw them away because I really don't want to cheat or an advantage. But dadgummit, you're not going to take away my bicycle. You're not gonna. It's my bicycle because I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride my bike. But yeah, I spent the night on my single player game last night, just crouched down in the middle of the desert, afraid to move. I wasn't even hiding behind a rock or tree or anything. I'm just out there in the open, crouched and thinking good thoughts, thinking, you can't see me. You can't see me. You can't see me. You know? So, that's right. It's my game and I can cheat if I want to. Cheat if I want to. Hey, Amanda. But excuse me. I've been talking so much now I'm getting a dry throat. Excuse me a minute while I get a drink. Oh, that was coffee. I probably better get a drink of because that doesn't quench your thirst. Let me get a drink of Mountain Dew here because I'm a proper redneck. There we go. All right. Hey, Johnny Hellcat. But yeah, today's been a busy day for the old man. I had my normal trip to go get the grandkids, as normally do, but I also had a doctor's appointment, just a normal checkup. And the only bad thing about it is I have to drive through a very busy section of town, all interstate. Jared Hart Norris is blowing. I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Dude, I am so immune to caffeine. I drink black coffee all day long. If I'm awake, I got coffee. Black coffee, no sugar. And that's just the way I drink it. And I also always drink Mountain Dew at the same time because coffee really doesn't quench your thirst. It just doesn't. So, yeah. And I could lay down right now and go sleep anytime. Amanda says, so you chased a shot of coffee with some Mountain Dew. Do you tell your doctor? But no, man's got to have his secrets, Amanda. Shh. But yeah, gotta. I mean, for me, a clean bill of health. There's some tests he wants me to take. The only problem I really have is my platelets are low, and that's been an issue for a while. They're not really sure why. Some of the medication that I take can lower your platelets, but that's just something they're keeping their eyes on, you know. And blood pressure was really good, but it always is. I'm one of them people that historically has low blood pressure. It's on the lower end of the scale, always has. In fact, when I was younger, a teenager or whatever, it used to concern them a little bit because it was always so low. But Jedi Ghostbusters, if you're looking for some lighthearted fare to discuss, I tagged you in a post where Mike Leach discusses the best mascot in the Pac-12. Okay, might take a look at it here in a little bit. PRP Treat Meat, Bloodwing, by Dick Train. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm so immune to caffeine. I drink so much caffeine and have for many, many years that I can drink a pot of coffee and lay right down and go to sleep. Absolutely no issue with laying down and going to sleep. I drink coffee to stay even. It doesn't hot me up, doesn't make me jittery, doesn't make me nervous. I just, and you all probably heard that beep. Speaking of, that was my coffee maker. It means the burner's turned off. But yeah, I just I drink it to stay even. It doesn't hop me up, unfortunately. And yeah, Alex, you're right. Fast food is a real job. It is. Not sure who you're referring to. Um, uh, I've worked plenty of fast food in my life in years past, and I'm not too proud of it. If they'd hire me, I'd do it now. But I'm not physically up to that standing on my feet as long as I would have to in such a situation. I'm not ashamed to. I'd do it. I'd work at McDonald's, stand at the counter and say, "Hey, can I take your order?" Absolutely. I'm not ashamed to. Work's work, man, and there's nothing to be ashamed of at work. Um, Amanda says it's because we have gotten our system so used to the caffeine and so worn out from it that they basically need it to function now. Yeah, exactly. I always make the joke that I actually died in the mid 80s. It's just that there's so much caffeine in my system that my body doesn't know to lay down and quit. Kyler, it's all good. It's all good. Better late than never, I always say. Um, Better late than never. Cynical Lindsay says, I couldn't work at a McDonald's. I'd be stealing all the egg McMuffins and hash brown. The one that would be hard for me would be Hardees because I love Hardees cinnamon biscuits. They're so good and so soft and just hot and warm. I just love their cinnamon biscuits. That would be the tough one for me. But working in any restaurant sometimes, and don't think they don't sample their own food. Of course we do. You know, I actually trained as a chef, and yeah, it. His kitten says I met my husband while working at a donut shop. Yeah. Um, and thank you, Cryptic, for the donation. Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? If you get that reference, you grew up in the 90s. No, I didn't grow up in the 90s, but I do know what the reference is. Uh, it's that movie with, I can't think of their name, but the two black kids. Um, so yeah. But yeah, I'm not too proud. As cynical as we don't have Hardee's here in Vince, we have Carl's Jr. Yeah, I used to live in California. They had Carl's Jr. as well, and yes, they are the same thing. Hardee's used to be Burger Chef here in Indiana, which was a big chain at the time. And they were something else in Kentucky, and at the for the life of me at the moment, I can't remember what they were before they turned Hardee's, but Hardee's bought all that stuff out across the nation, bought out different chains and turned them into Hardee's. Clinton, Whitaker, Bloodwing, it's Keenan and Kale. Okay, yeah, all right. I miss Burger Chef, Prospero. I loved Burger Chef. I really do. I miss their food. No, it wasn't Big Boys. Gosh, I can't remember, Amanda. I can't remember. Uh, but it'll probably come to me later after the stream, which is what happens. Things like that will come to me when I'm trying not to think about it. It'll just pop in my brain and like, oh yeah, I remember that. But yeah, several years ago, they bought out Hardee's bought out a lot of different local chains across the nation, and started calling them all Hardee's, except for uh, like was mentioned earlier in the Southwest and in California, they're called Carl's Juniors, but it's the same menu, same restaurant, just different name. But yeah, I can't remember what they used to be called in Kentucky, but it was something different. And Prospero says that's because they started in Rocky Mountain. Oh, in North Carolina. I'm not sure where they. Uh, uh, where they started. In Indiana or Kentucky, only fast food chains. Uh, I'm not sure what you mean, Deck Train. There's more than fast food chains, if that's what you're after. But um, yeah, Cryptic says it's called Carl's Jr. here too. And as I recall, Cryptic is in Colorado. So yeah, out west, it's Carl's Jr. But here it's Hardee's, and I do love their cinnamon biscuits. I do love their cinnamon Druthers. That's what I told you when I wasn't thinking about it. In Kentucky, they used to have a chain called Druthers. You know, like if you had your druthers, but it was spelled out, and they bought all those out and turned them into Hardee's. Um, got that off my mind. See, my brain works. It just works very slow and deliberate, you know, kind of like a freight train. But once it gets moving, it's hard to stop. Just like a freight train. So far, we've covered a lot of varied stuff in this stream. Uh, yeah, Carl's Jr.'s and Hardee's. Deck train. It just depends on where you live in the United States and what it's called, but it's the same menu, same fast food chain actually. But yeah, I do. As I said, I do like their cinnamon biscuits, and I think the way that Diesel Dave says we used to have a burger joint called Burger Express, triple bacon cheeseburger. Oh, that sounds good. Fries and drink for $3.50. We and Michael Weiner says we actually have both here in Cleveland. That's strange. That's very strange. Because I mean, it's the same company. It really is. But have I ever had In-N-Out? No. I'm not even sure that we have an In-N-Out here in Indiana. I've never personally seen one. Of course, that doesn't mean there aren't any. There just might not be very many. At Hardee's, speaking of Hardee's, there aren't very many left. There's only a couple of them around Indianapolis. A lot of them shut down. A bunch of them shut down. I guess they couldn't compete with McDonald's and Burger King and that. But you know, I still have to poop in Sinatra's yard. So okay, you know, whatever floats your boat. Be it far from me to shame anybody's kink, Jared. So have I ever eaten at a place called Two Doors Biscuit World? No, I have not. And in fact, I think that's the first time that I've heard of it. But that does make me think that when I lived out in California, I don't know if it still exists, but there was a restaurant there called Charlie's Chili. And oh my gosh, they had the most phenomenal chili burgers. It was an open faced sandwich. It was a cheeseburger, but it was opened up. The bun was open, and with chili. Oh, the best chili just poured over top of it. You know, and I ate there every chance I got when I lived out in California. It was yummy, very good. But there's a Hardee's in Whiteland. Yep. But I didn't know we were going to be talking fast food. Of course, Alex and I have had that conversation. That he says one thing that Americans do right is fast food, and that's because we got so much of it, and we've got it down pat. You know, we've got the whole fast food thing down pat because there's so many. I live in a very poor side of town. No denying it. But even here where I live, where people don't have much money, there is at least 8 different fast food joints within a mile of my house. At least 8 different. Bloodwing. I do talk about food quite a lot because I like food. I like food a lot. It's a wonder I don't weigh 500 pounds because I do. I love food. And I always have. But you know, I love to eat. I love good food, and I like cheap food. I'm not against eating junk food, and some of that's really good. There's a reason people get addicted to junk food because it tastes good. And I was not eating testicles last night. I was trying to explain to Alex what hush puppies were, and I said they're deep fried balls of cornbread. And my wife, all she heard was deep fried balls, and she starts laughing. So yeah, deck train, yeah, Southern barbecue. I just like all food, all different kinds of food. I love it. Give me the food. I'll take all the food. And so one of the things that worries me about when I finally quit smoking is I'll probably blow up because that is one of the side effects a lot of times for people that quit smoking is you eat and you get fat. And I'm afraid that will happen to me. It happened to my dad when he quit smoking many, many years ago, and he and I are built very much the same. But I'll talk about food with you all day long. I'll talk about video games with you. I'll talk about rock and roll or other types of music. I like all kinds of different kinds of music. But yeah, there's lots of things I'll just talk with you about. And that's what I thought, going into this first stream coming back. That's what I felt like doing. It's like reacquainting myself with you guys. Hey, welcome back. Just have a conversation with the chat. Just bounce back and forth. Make it personal, make it casual. I thought that might be a good thing today for my first stream back after a week. Opinionated Scotsman. I hate people that can eat stuff all day and never gain weight. I've always been like that. Although after I turned 50, I did gain weight. In the last 10 years, I've put on about 30 pounds. Now, that wasn't over 30. I put it on in a heartbeat. Like right after I turned 50, in like a year's time, I put on that 30 pounds. And that's a lot on a small framed guy like me, and I'm still hovering around that same mark. They weighed me today, and I'm about the same weight. So I haven't lost any weight and haven't really gained any. I'm even, which is normal for me. I'll put on a few pounds in the wintertime and lose it in the warm weather months. It's just the way I always have been. But now we're at that point in the stream where we're going to figure out just what to do when the old man has to go to the bathroom, because we are at that point, folks. If I don't go to the bathroom very soon, my eye teeth are going to float. Well, if I had any eye teeth, they'd float. And we're going to have a mess in the chair. And we don't want that. So we got to decide what to do. I can't play music to you because I don't have OBS working or anything like that. So it's going to be quiet on my end. So this is what we want to do. What we're going to do. I want everybody in the chat to sing. Just sing while I'm away. And when I come back, I'll look at it and we'll see if I can hear you. Just everybody sing up loud, sing whatever you want to, and we can make this work. We'll just make all the world think, what's all this singing I hear? So y'all sing and I'll be right back. And I'm back. Let's see. Let's switch over to the watch. How many people showed up? Well, we didn't lose more than a couple. Lose more than a couple. That's pretty good for uh, being total silence for almost 2 minutes. Look at that, y'all hanging out. What'd you sing? Raindrops keep falling in my hands, standing in the cold rain. Mama just killed a man. Hey, yeah, that's a good song. I could hear you singing. I did. I heard it as like a low murmur across the horizon. You know, even in my bathroom, I could. Uh, I could hear this song. You know, just a generic song rising up. Um, Thank you, Cryptic, for the donation. I got to get switched back over to comments. There we go. Wash your hands. That was too quick. I washed my hands. Thank you. Thank you. And I even had time to grab another cup of coffee while I was up. So, yeah, I just don't fool around. Iceman Northland says you didn't wash your hands. I know, I didn't hear it. That's because I muted my mic before I got up. Jack, yes, I washed my hands. Make fun of the way I talk. Doggone it. That's not right. That's racist. No, you go ahead. People have made fun of the way I talk ever since I can remember. My accent is funny even in parts of Indianapolis. You know, here in my neighborhood, we all talk pretty much the same, but get outside this neighborhood, the Hoosier accent is different. uh, Owen Harmon says, good night. We have to go. All the best. Hey, thanks for coming in, dude. Thanks for stopping by. I absolutely. Jared Hartnor says, liar. You don't know. You couldn't see me. You don't know. You don't know. But Single Lindsay says, well, I'm glad BW shut off the stream so we wouldn't have to hear him do his business. Yes, and my house is so small you absolutely would hear it if I left the mic on. It's very small house. And from my chair to the bathroom is probably only about 6 to 7 steps. So yeah, it's a very small house that I live in. But yeah, if I didn't turn the mic off, you would hear it flush for sure and certain. No question about it. But Jared Hart Norris says, wait, what are we waiting? Redneck gets censored. Yes, it does. Yeah, I've been aware of that for some time. It's amazing that my own live stream here, the title of it doesn't get censored because Redneck is in that. But if you write Redneck as one word, yes, it gets censored out, and that's YouTube, not me. Trust me, I don't have any words censored out on my channel. You can do that. You can do that, but I don't have any. No. James Pauly says, I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. That's funny that you say that because I was just singing that song to Alex yesterday while we were playing 7 Days to Die because I seen a lumberjack. He had never heard that song, surprisingly. But thank you, Attila Paxer. Hey, Bloodwing, good to see you back. Wish you and your family all the best. Thank you. Thank you. But Angry Illinois says didn't get censored when I did a super chat. Sometimes it slips through. I don't understand how. You know every once in a while it will slip through, but yeah. For the most part, you try to type it, it's going, and the same in comments. It won't take it in comments either. It's not just in chat. So good grief, I have to edit out all the times I walked away from my chair because Ruby was acting up. Yeah. and Jack Gunsky, yeah, pretty much the same. In their eyes, it's the same. And I understand that redneck originally it was a derogatory term, and it's not usually used to compliment someone. But I'm okay with it. I am what I am, and part of my goal is to take that word back, to own it, to be proud of it. I'm proud of my heritage. So yeah, James Paul, I was surprised too, but I guess we silly Americans, we think that every British person must be fully aware of Monty Python, and he's seen some of the movies. He's just never seen the old Flying Circus series, which is where that comes from. Jacoby Brissett, Diesel Dave, is the quarterback for the Colts. Yeah, Jacoby Brissett, who's done a decent job. I mean, he's no premier quarterback, but he's done a decent job for us. And so, although this Sunday's game was really ugly, but I won't talk football because I know some of you don't like when I talk football, and I'm kind of enjoying seeing the numbers where they're at now. I don't want to see them fall. So, but yeah. Michael Weiner. I know, right? Kids just no respect these days. Exactly. Prospero is exactly right. Rednecks don't give a crap what they're called. They just don't. I don't care. Call me a redneck. I'm like, okay. And what's your point? What is your point? But yeah, and it's not just redneck. There's a lot of different. It's a well-known fact that in monkey streams, you can't even type in his name because it censors out monkey. Yeah, because that's racist. Because of course, when we say monkey, we're actually thinking black people. Of course we are. Because us evil white people, we're racist and we don't even know it. It's in our subconscious. It's in our DNA. It's our genetic makeup. So everything's racist that comes out of our minds and our mouths. Isn't it? Yeah. And again, Michael says it never senses it for me. It just it seems random. Some people can get away from it. Live from Tornado Alley. Yeah, I definitely live in Tornado Alley. Jack Gunsky just says, does this mean Jeff Foxworthy is Hitler now? Well, probably. According to snowflake culture today, yeah, he probably is literally Hitler now. Because he uses that awful term redneck. You can never tell these days. Who knows anymore what's allowed and isn't allowed, what's racist that isn't or isn't racist, what's funny or isn't funny. This is a joke. No, it's not. Who knows any of that? So yeah, Prospero, exactly. Ron White. Oh my gosh. He's in real trouble. This is Kyle says, I didn't know monkey was a derogatory term for black people until a black person told me that. Yeah, exactly. And just because you say something like that, like monkey or redneck, doesn't mean that you mean it in a derogatory fashion at all. And yeah, Larry the Cable Guy is from Wisconsin. He's not even Southern. If you've ever heard, and I have heard him talk, because that accent is put on. Ebony Williams, hello. The accent he puts on during his live shows, his actor when he's on a movie or whatever, that's put on. He doesn't really talk that way. He has a Wisconsin accent, naturally, and it's really kind of weird hearing him talk when he talks without that accent. But anyway. Now I've lost track. I've just been so all over the place today that I've lost track of where I was. Oh, well, I'll catch up to it sooner or later. And because if there's one thing that if you haven't figured out by now, I have the gift of gab and I can talk forever. Even if it's about nonsense, I can just talk and talk and talk if my voice holds out. So I don't have any problem with that. It's just easier for me to have somebody to bounce off of. Usually in these streams is why I don't stream by myself any more than I do. It's not that I'm not capable. Trust me on that. Did you see Larry go on Crowder saying he got kicked off for being Republican? No, didn't see that. But I'm not surprised. You know, it's almost like it's becoming illegal to be conservative these days in some areas, some factions among some people. Yeah. I prefer Ron White over the rest. Yeah, he can be funny. Of course, has Ron even put out anything new for a while? I mean, we're all familiar with tater salad and all of that stuff, but has he put anything out new in a while? I don't know. But Bill Engvall, yeah, he's good. Here's your sign. Yeah. Let me light a cigarette here. So, what's next? What are we talking about next? Give me a topic. Somebody out there, give me a topic. Tim Wilson does Southern accents. Yeah. Hey, Data, how you doing? Craig says we saw him live a few years back, and it was all new material. Okay, cool. I didn't know. I haven't personally heard anything from Ron for quite a while. Jedi Ghostberry, he's really pushing that Pac-12 basket. If I don't get it today, I'll get it the next stream. Honest to goodness, I will. Jedi, I just kind of wanted this to be just a flow, just me talking to you guys. It's okay to do that every once in a while. Just one guy talking to the next, you know. Sleepy Doodle Bill Engvall was the first Christian comedian that I found funny. Yeah, there was one other guy, a Christian comedian, and I cannot remember his name right now. And there goes that old man memory. But he was pretty funny too. But he was big back in the 80s, I believe it was, among the Christian circus. But yeah, he was pretty funny. RBA Darce's unstructured streams are fun. Yeah, they can be fun for a change. You know, you get the real person and you get their thoughts sometimes and so forth. And, you know, it's all about you guys. You guys make these streams work or don't work. If you don't show up, then, you know, there's really no stream. So I figured I'd just take this day to talk to you. And it's also a good way to celebrate. The 15th of this month, just past a couple of days, was through my 3 years on YouTube. So, you know, I don't want to do a Q&A kind of thing, but necessarily, although we can, but Mike Warnke. Thank you, Maddie. How in the world did you come up with that? I am shocked. Mike Warnke was funny, and I seen him live. He really was funny. for a Christian comedian, I'm super amazed that you come up with that just from what little bit of information I put out there. That's amazing. Because all I said was he was big in the 80s. But yes, it absolutely was Mike Warnke. Yeah, and you saw him live too. Okay, yeah, he was very funny, especially when he lost a lot of weight. He at one time had been heavy. When he gets to talking about his weight loss, it's just absolutely hilarious. Yeah, Christian comedians can be funny, and I'm a Christian, and I don't necessarily find them all funny. you know. And it's not that I don't think it's because they censor themselves or anything like that. It's just their material's not as good for some reason. But yeah, Mike Warnke was a funny guy. I'm still shocked that you got that. That amazes me. That does amaze me. Let's see what else we got here. Sleepy Doodle says Ron White is so funny. I died laughing. Yeah, Ron can be very, very, very funny. And he can also be very, very, very blue. But you know, that doesn't matter to me, depending on what it is, of course. I can look past that, and he's very, yeah, he can be very, very funny. Just crack you up. It's no secret to you guys. I've mentioned it before. I like watching a lot of these music reaction channels, and some of them have taken to react to comedic acts like Ron White, and I even seen one that was reacting to old Abbott and Costello bits on their channel. So yeah, it's kind of funny to watch them see something they've never seen before from years ago and laugh. And some of them old Abbott and Costello stuff some of that's still funny. You know, of course, I still like the Three Stooges. You know, that's the kind of guy I am. I still enjoy a good episode of Three Stooges, and it'll still make me laugh. You know, but don't try that at home. They were professionals. Yeah, RVA Dar, who's on first, was Abbott and Costello. Yeah, absolutely, and classic bit. And nobody does it better than they do. Lou Costello just is phenomenal in that bit. He just he's at his best when they're doing Who's on First. My brother is Cynical Lindsay's. My brother is showing my niece the Three Stooges, keeping the tradition alive since my dad got us into them. Of course, traditionally the Three Stooges hasn't always appealed to the female audience, but I introduced them to my grandkids a couple of years ago, and they'd never heard of them, and they thought it was the funniest thing ever. You know, they just couldn't get enough of it. Of course, I was real quick to tell that rowdy bunch, don't try that at home. Don't hit your sister with a shovel, okay? Don't do that. Just watch it and laugh at it. Lucille Ball was funny. Absolutely, she was funny. I will still watch I Love Lucy episodes yet today if I run across them. Very funny lady. Yes, Prospero, I absolutely have heard the old Andy Griffith. What it was football. Yeah, very classic bit. That's when he was making his living as a, trying to make his way up as a comedian. It's a very funny story. It's a take on the game of NFL, the NFL type football, American football. It's a take on it from the perspective of a hill jack that has never seen football and didn't know what it was. So if you can imagine that. Jan, yeah, I am back. Told you I wasn't gonna be gone forever. Don't hit your sister, Midnight Next. Don't hit your sister with a shovel, but do throw her down the stairs if she gets pregnant out of wedlock. No, we don't want to do that either. I always found the show I Love Lucy very annoying, especially her voice. That voice was put on, She didn't really talk like that in real life. But yeah, I get it. But I always found it amusing. I always found her a very, very, very funny lady. Cynical Lindsay, my husband's exact words when we first started dating, You want to know something just as rare as a white dude who can dance, a woman who likes the Three Stooges. And that's true. I mean, that's very true. You know, um, it's historically they don't really appeal to the female crowd, but there are some. There are some. Absolutely. And my hat's off to those that have learned to appreciate it, because that's funny. Carol Burnett, Pat, absolutely one of the, and I'll fight anybody that disagrees with me. Carol Burnett is absolutely one of the funniest women that have ever existed. That woman just exuded funny comedy. She absolutely, and a very good person, had a very good attitude. She never got the big head. I know quite a bit about Carol. The story on how her and Vicki Lawrence got connected, from Mama's Family, Vicki Lawrence, is just phenomenal. If you've never heard it, look it up. It's you can find it on YouTube, and it's a very cool story. But yeah, Carol Burnett was just uh, absolutely a phenomenally funny lady, and I will jump on a chance to watch old episodes of Carol Burnett if given the opportunity, and especially if it involves Tim Conway, because that oh, talk about really funny person. That man was something else. The Tim Conway was just how do you explain Tim Conway to somebody that's never seen him? But this is Kyle. What type of show is I Love Lucy? Is it a sitcom? Yes, it's a sitcom. It shows what a type of family life in New York in the 1950s. She plays the wife to Ricky Ricardo, who is played by her real life husband at that time, Desi Arnaz. Tim Conway doing the dentist. Yeah. Well, that's classic, and it's absolutely hilariously funny. My favorite bit, though, is the bit when they were doing Mama's Family on the show, and he went off about the Siamese elephants and all of that stuff, and he just went off on a tangent and had them all cracked up until Vicki Lawrence at the end floored them all, even made Tim fall on the floor laughing. If you've never seen that bit, look it up. Snorkel. But Tim Conway absolutely was funny. And fun fact that when he first started being on TV on like McHale's Navy and that, he was introduced as Tom Conway. Yeah, instead of 10. But yeah, that one cracked me up. Yeah. The whole where he goes on a tangent about the Siamese elephants and all that, and he could do it. Just nobody can do deadpan comedy better than Tim Conway. That's what makes him so funny. He would say the most absolutely ridiculous stuff and look at you like it was absolutely normal. It's just nobody could do it like Tim. Yeah, Carol Burnett in her curtain dress doing their take on Gone with the Wind. I absolutely remember that. And I just burned a hole in my shirt, which I am very wont to do. I do quite often because I'm a slob. Cray, bit of trivia. Tim was told not to ad-lib anything because they were short on time. He took it as a challenge. Well, yeah. And Tim often did take it as a challenge. And usually the challenge was to see how many of the cast he could crack up. And poor Harvey Korman just was no match for Tim. He tried his best. Did you know? Here's another fun fact. And I seen this in an interview that Harvey Korman himself done. He said this, that he actually peed himself a little during the dentist bit. He was laughing so hard. Yeah, John Connor, you need to roll them cigs tighter. I don't use the traditional roller. I use they make pre-made tubes that are filtered and it injects the tobacco. But yeah, I need to pack it a little harder sometimes. You're right. Um, yeah, when Carol was Desmond, the washed-up actress. Yeah, and yes, opinionated Scotsman. Burning your shirt is common when you smoke tobacco. It is. It is. I have very few shirts that don't have burn holes in them, unfortunately. And it doesn't help that I'm usually laid back in my recliner, so it has nowhere to go but right on my chest, you know. John Connor says that's what I use too. Yeah, it's just easier and uh, faster, much faster than a traditional roller. But yeah, folks, if you've never watched Carol Burnett, do so. What you don't know what what you're missing. Data Wasteland, little known fact, Lucille Ball gave us Star Trek, but yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that the basic idea originated with Lucille, and it wouldn't surprise me because back in those days she had really big influence in Hollywood. You know, if you wanted to get anywhere, you had to go through Lucy. Some of you folks may not know that she was more than just a funny lady with a couple of shows on TV. Uh, she very much in real life was very much Hollywood, or at least a huge part of it. Yeah, Desilu Studios. Yeah. Jared Hartners, watch the amazing Bloodwing burn himself for our amusement. I usually catch on to it before it burns me, and I only have 30% of the feeling in my right hand because of an accident when I was 18. But so I'm able to pick the fire off my shirt and put it in the ashtray before it hurts. So yeah. So another very funny person, personally, we all know the humor is subjective, but it is a person that could not exist in the political climate today. They would just crucify him. Is Don Rickles. Man was hilariously funny. Nobody was quicker with an insult, and he went totally ad lib. His whole act was ad lib and was for years. It depended on who was in the audience, and he would go totally ad lib, and nobody was quicker with the insults, and it was all funny. But in truth, in real life, he was the nicest guy, absolute nicest guy behind the scenes. But oh my gosh, he was brutal in his act. Yeah. He's still random. You're right. He's still funny now if you watch him. And he was that hilarious way late in his life. I've seen probably a video of the last show he ever done. He was well into his 80s by this point. He was into his 80s and still had it. He was still killing him. And he could just, depending on what line he was given, what somebody said to him, he could just come up with an insult like that. And it wasn't just an insult, it was a hilarious insult. And speaking of ad libs, another tremendously funny guy was Jonathan Winters, who was a huge influence on Robin Williams. He was always totally ad lib, used to come out with a box full of just little stuff, might be hats or whatever, and would just do his whole act with that. Very few people could out ad lib Jonathan Winters. Robin Williams was on his par, but he was one of the few. I mean, you've never seen Jonathan Winters go at it. Then look it up. There's plenty of clips I know for a fact on YouTube because I've watched them on him on the Johnny Carson Tonight Show or whatever. Look it up. Carrot Top can ad lib pretty good, but I still give Jonathan Winters the edge. And you're right, Jared Hart Norris. Many older comics wouldn't make it now. Yeah, they wouldn't. I'm really surprised. Dice hadn't been attacked more. And he's going, oh my gosh, Andrew Dice Clay. Oh my, he was controversial even in his time. There's absolutely no way he'd even get the time of day to die, today. Uh, yeah, Jonathan RBA Darcy, Jonathan Winters, and Robin Williams on Dick Cavett was hilarious. Those two together had a special connection. Now, Jonathan was quite a bit older than Robin, and he kind of took Robin under his wing in the early days. That's the reason they had a connection, and that turned then when Robin got famous, got on Mork and Mindy, he turned around and when he could, he gave Jonathan a part on his show. He played Robin's son, which you'd have to watch Mork and Mindy to realize how that worked. But to see them two, like on Johnny Carson or Dick Cavett or a talk show like that together, is just comedy gold. You know you're in the presence of greatness when those two work off each other. There's no script. They just go totally off the cuff. And it is some of the funniest thing that you ever have seen. It is just, if you've never seen Jonathan Winters, do yourself a favor, look it up on YouTube and watch him. I guarantee you will laugh. There's just no two ways about it. And if you happen to catch a bit where Jonathan, which they did quite often, Jonathan and Robin are working together, be ready to pee yourself, because that's what's going to happen. And they are absolutely funny. Prop comics. Now, you may find this kind of funny, but I've always, in that genre, I prefer Gallagher. Yeah, it was kind of a one-trick pony with the sledgehammer and the watermelons and stuff. But prop comics, I kind of preferred Gallagher. But Jonathan Winter wasn't really a prop comic. He was an impromptu comic, but he used the box of, it wasn't just one-liners. He would use the items in the box to just go off on a really funny tangent. You know, it wasn't like a lot of these prop comics, they'll pull a prop out of the box and say some one-liner and throw it away. Jonathan used it to set up his whole bit, you know. And you just have to see him to know what I'm talking about. I'm probably not doing it justice. So I don't really, even though he used props, I don't consider Jonathan Winters a prop comic. He was an ad-libber and one of the best in the world at it. Yeah. Diesel Davis says, Ron White, if you quit listening, I'll shut up. 2018. That was his last special. Yeah, I didn't know when it was. I don't really keep up too much on comic specials and stuff. It's hit and miss with me, you know, because I've watched so many that aren't. Deck Train, whose line is it anyway? Funny you mention that. And yes, they are hilarious. They are absolutely hilarious. Those guys are really good at ad lib. They really are. I'll put them right up there with ad lib. Although Jonathan, I think, could blow them all away and probably have them all in stitches where they couldn't function. But funny you mention that, because they've taken that show on that whole gang have taken the show on the road, and I think they're calling it something like Who's Live Anyway or something like that. And they're going to be here in town here very shortly. They were selling tickets to it, or giving away tickets to it rather, on the radio earlier today here locally. So yeah, they would, I'm probably not going to go, but I would probably like to. It's probably funny if it's anything like the TV show was. But yeah, I don't think Drew Carey's with the crew, but everybody outside of Drew would be involved in it. I don't think Drew's involved in it at all, but the rest of them, the one that really worked hard to make that show what it was. Um, but yeah, Phil Hartman, yeah, he was very funny. He was. Uh, the, it's hard for me. Maybe I'll put it this way. It seems like the golden age of funny people. And I won't say comedians because there's been some funny women over years too. Gilda Radner to me was one of the funniest women ever. If you see her on the old Saturday Night Live, Gilda Radner was just hilariously funny. But I think that the age of the truly funny person is a dying breed. I think it's dying out. It's just so hard to find truly funny people these days. And yeah, you can run across this person or that person, and so forth. Yes, Cynical Lindsay, Cheech and Chong are legends. They absolutely were. And not just their movies. I grew up on their records. Yes, people, back in the old days, comedians made records. They certainly did. That was my first introduction to Bill Cosby. Of course, he's a rapist and everything now, I guess. But my first introduction to Bill Cosby was on records. My first introduction to Cheech and Chong was on records. My first introduction to George Carlin was on records. And of course now we live in the day of the Netflix special or the HBO special. But when I was a young man, it was all about the record. And how they could get their bits known. And Bill Cosby himself was hilariously funny. He may be a sexual deviant. I don't know, but he was funny. He absolutely was funny. Dave's not here, man. Open up, it's Dave. Yeah, I probably know every Cheech and Chong bit from the 70s off their records that there are, and there are a ton of them, and some of them are not fit for the air. Couldn't do them here. I would not get demonetized to get my channel shut down probably. But yeah, some the old Cheech and Chong record bits on their records. Their records are phenomenally funny, and yes, it's heavily based in the drug culture. It's that kind of comedy, but it's not all about that. And they have some really funny bits, like the motorcycle rider is just hilariously funny, or Hey Margaret, which is one of the bits I would not be able to do on the air. But it's a bit about a man who takes his wife to the porn theater, so if you can imagine, and it's just hilariously funny. Those guys could they back then they really had it together. And shut up. Yeah, Cynical Lindsay. Yeah, that was Sister Mary Elephant. Yeah. RBA Dara beat ya. But to tell you a funny story, I wasn't allowed to listen to Cheech and Chong records in my house because my dad was the pastor of our church, and I wasn't allowed to have them. So a friend of mine had them, and he recorded them on tape and snuck them to me. So yeah, I had to keep them hid, and I labeled them as something else, so you didn't know what they were. They weren't labeled Cheech and Chong; they were labeled as something else. But that's how I got to listen to them. It was bootlegged cassette tapes, if you will, from a friend. Okay. Had to get a drink there. I've gone on now for an hour and a half of nonstop talking, and I'm starting to feel it. It's starting to wear on me here. I'm out of practice. Oh, Cynical Lindsay, earache my eye. It was so big in its day. It was huge. You guys don't understand. That bit was huge. And let's tell you a little story. At the time it came out, I was in junior high school. Earache My Eye. And I went to, I guess, what you would call a progressive junior high. And where I live at that time is different now, but at that time, junior high was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. Ninth graders still went to the junior high building, even though they earned credits for high school. It's just the way it was set up here. But it was progressive in the way that it was set up. It was called an open concept school. There were no classrooms. It was all open area. And the only thing that divided the classrooms were those, you've seen those bulletin boards that are on wheels that roll around. That's all that divided the classroom. Didn't work. There are now walls in that junior high school. It didn't work because, as you can imagine, a bunch of junior high school kids are going to pay attention to what's going on next to them instead of the class in front of them. But anyway, it was progressive in other ways as well, in that it had two lunchrooms. We had D600 and D500, and they were all open area too. The three sides of it were all open to the halls. There was no walls. They couldn't do four sides because, you know, you had to have the lunch counter. But D600 was the big lunchroom, and D500 was the small lunchroom, and just depended on where you were scheduled to eat, on which one you eat in. And they also had study halls in those lunchrooms. Well, in D600, in the large lunchroom, there was a jukebox. Yeah, we actually had a jukebox, and we were allowed to play it. And it had, you know, a lot of the hits at the time. And one of the things it had in junior high was Earache My Eye, a Cheech and Chong record. Of course, there's no cussing in that, but it, you know, but it was huge. It was so huge. And Earache My Eye got played almost on constant rotation for a while in that lunchroom. But it had a lot of songs. Like, it had some of the pop songs and some of the not so pop songs on there. And it even had My Ding-a-Ling. Anybody that's never heard, that's actually a song. You know, actually a song called My Ding-a-Ling by Chuck Berry that he made very, very late in his career. And it was called My Ding-a-Ling. Or Chuck Berry, exactly. And but it was very full of double entendre. His ding-a-ling was actually a little handmade toy he had that had bells on it that he called his ding-a-ling, but of course he played it up to the double entendre. And the line of the song was, I want to play with my ding-a-ling. Yep, silver bells on a string. My ding-a-ling, my ding-a-ling. But it actually had that on there, and it had some of the pop song, like Knock Three Times on the Ceiling If You Want. Maybe it had some of the more rock and roll songs, like it had the Locomotion, the remake Locomotion that they done, and American Band, and different stuff like that. Yeah, I don't think that jukebox exists in that, and it hasn't for a long time, and they're not as progressive as they were in the early 70s early to mid 70s when I went to junior high school. Stephen Wright, yeah. And of course, there was a couple of songs by, he was a 2-hit wonder by an artist called Gary Wright. My Love Is Alive and Dreamweaver, I believe, was the name of the other song. It had those kind of songs on it. Didn't have any real hard rockers, probably the hard, but it did have Sweet, Fox on the Run, and Ballroom Blitz. That's about as hard as it got on that jukebox. They didn't want to go too crazy. Wasn't any Black Sabbath or Led Zeppelin or anything on that jukebox, but it was still pretty cool that they gave us some songs. But I was always amazed that they allowed that Cheech and Chong bit, Earache My Eye, on there, because if you've never listened to the bit, there's a part where they there's a made up song that the kid's listening to, you know, that that is played, and it's a pretty heavy rocker. Um, and the make believe artist that done the song was called Alice Bowie, and on the cover of the record, it would show Cheech Marin with a mask and wearing a ballet tutu. You know, and I still remember that tune. My mama talking to me, trying to tell me how to live. But I don't listen to her because her head is like a sieve. Oh gosh, don't get me started. Don't get me started. Yeah, and Mickey Mouse ears. Thank you, James Polly. I forgot the Mickey Mouse ears and Mickey Mouse ears. Yeah. Yeah, I was just always shocked and amazed that they allowed that song to be on there. You know, along with Billy, Don't Be a Hero. You know, he had those kind of songs, but then on the other, you have Earache My Eye. And yes, Jonathan Winters started in the early days of television. I'm talking the early days of television with impressions. Yes. He and Jonathan started on TV almost from the get-go. And then he kind of had a problem with the bottle and a nervous breakdown, and he disappeared for a while, almost ruined his career. And by the time that Robin Williams come around, he was just bringing his career back. Jonathan actually spent some time in a mental health facility. Yeah. But a very, 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 very funny man. Very funny man. And I've seen him personally talk about his that period of time, a very dark time for him, and he's honest about it. It's one of the few times that he wasn't being completely funny. Of course, Jonathan being Jonathan, he had to throw in a joke here and there, but for the most part, he played it straight and he talked about it. And that's when he started to paint. Yes, it was Prospero. Very interesting man. Jonathan Winters certainly went through some trouble, through some issues, and you know, when we lost Jonathan, we lost one of the greats, in my opinion. We certainly lost one of the great funny men of all time. Another drink there. Losing my, what have I got, a mouse in my pocket? Losing my voice. But I've been going at it here for quite a while. And if it keeps up, I may have to end the stream just a few minutes earlier because I'm losing my voice. You know, I don't know how much longer I can keep this up, but even if we do have to end it, then this is my welcome back stream, and to be, I'm back at it. I remember Ernie Kovacs. You know, I'm sure none of the younger people have heard of Ernie, but yeah, Ernie, and he was an incredibly funny guy. This is Kyle Blowing. Watching you stream makes me want to, but I'm at work, unfortunately. Yeah. Okay. Well, I got you. There's not that much time left of the stream. There's only 20 minutes left. I might be able to make it. The question's going to be is, can I make it without having to go to the bathroom again? Because that's the way my body is. And I'm old. And we had this discussion at my doctor today. Asked her, frequent urination? I don't know. Depends on what you call frequent. And he goes, well, what do you call frequent? I said, about every half hour. He goes, yeah, that's kind of frequent. Do you have to go in the middle of the night? Yeah. How often? 1 to 3 times, usually. Old man stuff. Old man. You know, it's the question we old men get and the discussions we get. You know, they talked about the prostate cancer screen and all that stuff, you know, all that fun stuff that you get when you get old. James Polly, a cat become a Muslim. I'm gonna dead name because I'm a fan of Cat Stevens. Yeah, Cat Stevens was very good, very good. Um, those of us over 50 love to resonance. Resonance. Not sure what you mean by that, RVA, but I'm definitely over 50. That's for sure. Uh, I'm. I will, in fact, be 60 on my next birthday. So, uh, reminisce. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's what you meant. Reminisce. Okay. Yes, we do like to reminisce. I got asked on a stream one time, why? Because I was talking and people, somebody in the chat said, well, why do old people, especially old men, always, well, back in my day, always reminisce? Because that's what we got now. And because we've got a lot of experience. And if you younger folks listen to our experience sometime, you might learn something. Might learn a thing or two if you quit complaining about us reminiscing every once in a while. And I don't understand that. And I guess I'm going off on a little bit of a rant right now, because when I was 14, 15 years old, I used to love to sit and listen to the old guys talk. You know, in the small town that my family is from in Kentucky, and we're talking small town, one stoplight. Seriously, blink and you missed it. Was the kind of town where they still had the bench out front of the courthouse where the old men sit and whittled. They absolutely did. That's an absolute fact. And I used to love to go down and listen to them talk and learn things. And I was just fascinated. And then, yeah, I was odd even for that time for a 14 or 15-year-old, but I loved it. Yeah. Deck Train says you should get urination aid pills, which will help you completely clear out your bladder. Yeah, and that's part of the problem. It's not so much that we go frequently; it's just that with the swollen prostate and whatever. And I'm probably going into more detail than many of you want to hear. But you know, it's not so much that you're actually going frequently; it's just that you don't completely get your bladder empty when you do go. So you've got to go again a little bit later. And it's just a vicious cycle. It's not that your bladder gets smaller; it's just that you don't get it empty all the time. Prospero says, I have such a or Prospero. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll probably keep saying it. I'm never sure if I'm pronouncing your name right. So I hope you understand and forgive me if I do it wrong. I have such a specific memory attached to Al Stewart that has never faded more than 40 years later. Yeah. Yeah. And Eddie Money just died, which was like a blow to me. You realize you're getting old when all of the rock stars of your day are passing away of old age. Um, thank you, Cryptic, for the donation. Oh, excuse me, got hiccups. Whoops, and the chat jumped and I hit the wrong one. Thank you, Cryptic, for the donation. You could say your prostate is a bit irate. Yeah, well, that's probably what he meant by that when he took that name. So yeah, I guess so. The only thing you can learn, James Paul, the only thing you learn from another young person is to avoid the same stupid stuff you might be doing. Yeah, that's true. Want to know how to become a better person? Listen to men at work at a free time. You know why we're considered wise? You know what makes us wise? Because I was young and made all those mistakes. I done a lot of stupid stuff in my life. A bunch of stupid stuff. Probably more than most. You guys have heard the stories that I tell. I've done a lot of stupid stuff. And that's exactly why I know now what not to do. you know, uh, Cynical Lindsay says lost Eddie Money and Rick Ocasek the same week. Yeah, I forgot about Rick. Same weekend, double whammy for those of us who grew up in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. but like I said, it made me stop and think when I seen Eddie Money die. You really, because I remember I bought cassette tape. This is the days before CDs, folks. You bought either records or 8-tracks or cassette tapes, and I was never an 8-track person, so I bought cassette tapes. And I remember when I bought the first album on cassette by Eddie Money. I remember buying that cassette tape. And I remember what head shop I bought it in. Yeah, it was a head shop. And you know that you're getting old when all the people who were rock stars and celebrities when you were younger are now dying of old age. It's yeah. I've been a Cars fan since I was a little kid. Cynical Lindsay said I also was shocked when I found out he was 75. I thought he was younger. Yeah, huge Cars fan. I love a lot of the Cars songs. They were so different and at the right time. I remember that album. There was very little on that Cars album. Very few of the songs that didn't get airplay. I mean, it was just all great. Blank cassette tapes to make playlists. Yeah, absolutely. It was easy to make your own. You could make your own mixtapes, right off the radio, because every stereo that was sold at that time had a cassette player on it that could record straight from the radio or straight from your records. Yeah, Moving in Stereo is one of my favorite songs. Yeah, it's a good song. Yeah, and that's the album I was talking about was Candy O. Data, thank you. Just couldn't think off the top of my head what the name of the album was. But I don't. There was very few of the songs, if any, that didn't get airplay. It was just a fantastic album, and right at the right time. So yeah, yeah, we're losing a lot of our greats, folks. Some of us are getting old. Those of you out there that are in my generation or near my generation know what I'm talking about. But hey, that's okay. You go on. Life moves on. And one thing I'm not a believer in, though, and I really detest this. I hate this, and you see it on Twitter all the time, and you see it from people that I otherwise respect. But I hate this. When you say something or use a meme or you bring up an argument and you get that's so 2017. That's so 2016. Shut up. People don't change that often. We don't change year to year. There's no biological annual clock. I won't go off on a long tangent on that. I'm just saying I hate that. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Don't tell me that's 2017. You do realize that 3 years is a blink of an eye? That's no time at all. And it just tells me that they're for the most part, people that say that are very young. And for those that aren't young, it's just a way out of the argument is what it is. But I don't. I hate that argument. Yeah, Cynical Lindsay, let the good times roll. Bye love. You're all I've got tonight. Candy-O, good tunes. Yeah, absolutely. All good songs. All good songs. All songs I turn up when they come on the radio. And like I said, they were different. They were considered part of that new wave movement that was going through in the late 70s. But they were different. And so, and they came out at just the right time. Huge hits, huge. So yeah, it was a shock. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm really starting to lose it here, voice wise. But I think I've only got a few minutes to go, but I think I'm going to end it here because I just don't have enough voice left. And I'm just going to keep hacking. And you guys don't want to hear me cough. You don't want to hear me cough. And I don't want to hear me cough. I don't want to cough. But if I keep going, that's what's going to happen. Wore my throat out is what I've done. But I wanted so much to come out and do the stream. I wanted to get back on the horse. I wanted to get back in the swing of things. It was just time. It was time. But thanks everybody for coming out. I'm shocked that so many people got the notice, because you know how YouTube is. They don't like to notify you and come and hung out with me. You know, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Crace is a great stream. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed myself. I really enjoyed it. But I'm going to get away from here. I'm gonna go rest my throat and go to the bathroom, get another cup of coffee, and probably find me something to eat, because I'm out of hush puppies. No more hush puppies. But anyway, thanks everybody for coming out. Just a reminder that the next Redneck Radio will be when, people? Thursday at 2:30 Eastern. And I'm not sure whether there's going to be a Redneck Trek this weekend or not. There may be and there may not be. But if it's not this weekend, the following weekend for sure. And it will probably be on Monday. I haven't decided yet. I haven't decided, because football, people can't, football's Sundays for football during football season. Sorry. So I'll probably move it to Mondays. But we'll talk about that the more stream. In fact, I'll probably take an audience vote the next stream. But anyway, thanks everybody for coming out. I got to get out of here before I hack up a lung and before I totally lose my voice. Thanks all of you for coming out. But until next time, get out of my yard.